Well, my saying is that you can never give from an empty cup. You're giving as a father, you're giving as a husband, you're giving as a workman. You have to acknowledge that at some point that supply is going to run out. You've got to give to yourself.
Who is Angie Greaves?
the family rebel. Angela would like to believe that when she leaves a room, she leaves an essence or an energy behind her. Angie's job is a radio presenter.
Which you've done for a long time.
Which I've done for a long time.
Which means you love it, right?
Absolutely. I like to think about the child that's been picked up from school that hasn't had a nice day at school and mum's got to deal with it. Maybe you've had to dodge a lot of traffic, or your tube was late, or your train was cancelled, or you were just getting that coffee and as you were taking it off the prep counter, unfortunately someone comes and I think about those things. What would I like to hear?
Social media can be a force for good.
Yeah.
It can be a force for bad.
Yeah, social media is a good tool. However, I call social media groups unhinged.
Unhinged, yeah.
Because they're like classrooms without a teacher. Anything goes.
I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, so am I.
It's like a therapy session. Tell me, who is Angie Greaves?
Who is Angie Greaves? Angie Greaves is the youngest of 5 children, 2 of whom live in Barbados and the other 2 live here. I am probably the family rebel, in that my other siblings are quite professional. And there I am, as my mother says, you play records. I remember when I told her I wanted to be a presenter, you're going to play records? Angie is a mother. Angie loves music. Angie loves to spread as much positivity as possible, on the understanding that not everything is going to be positive. You've got to have some ups, you've got to have some downs. Angela would like to believe that when she leaves a room, she leaves an essence or an energy behind her that makes people smile. Angie's job is a radio presenter.
Which you've done for a long time.
Which I've done for a long time.
Which means you love it, right?
Absolutely. When people ask me, if you weren't doing radio, what would you do? I say, I don't know.
So you found your calling.
Definitely found my calling.
Did you set out to do that? Because
No.
that love of music?
No. Always loved music. We had radios in every room of the house. If it wasn't my dad listening to, goodness, giving away my age, Jimmy Clitheroe. Do you remember Jimmy?
I know who you mean.
On a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Or, we had radio playing all the time. We weren't TV people. We had radio playing all the time. There was always music playing in the house. And my mum said to me, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I learnt shorthand and typing because I felt that's what I should do and go and be a secretary. And my mum said to me, you really do need to go and get a job. For 1 year, give me some of your salary every week or every month, and then I'm going to put you into college to become a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, something
Sure.
that most Caribbeans, when they came here, because they helped, propped up the national health, London transport, but they wanted better for their kids. So be a doctor, a nurse, a dentist, a lawyer. And I was like, yeah, fine. And that job for 1 year was at Capital Radio in the HR department. And I just thought, 18 months in, she hasn't asked me for any money. This could work. But I was just happy to be in a building where there was music playing all day long. So I came from a house, there was music playing all day long. Then I went to work, there was music playing all day long. I was as happy as Larry.
Cool vibe as well, right?
Cool vibe.
Cool work environment.
Absolutely. And it didn't matter on the category of music, because if I listened to pop, at work. I listened to reggae and soca and gospel at home. I was just around music. It was wonderful.
I love that. How did you go from HR
Oh,
to
Lord.
presenter?
Well, it was around the time when capital was going on to the stock market, it was floating. And we were working very, very late. And I had a temp who found me very funny. I don't know why. And she said, Angie, have you seen that film Gone with the Wind? And I went, oh, Miss Scarlett. And there was Chris Tarrant and David Jensen and a manner of people listening behind the door and said, you should record that. And here we are.
Love that. Right place, right time, and you showed your character.
Right place, right time. But I wasn't ready for the studio, if that makes sense. I used to go through the studio door and I'd start shaking. I couldn't work out, the mic, why is it hanging down? What's that fader? What's that fader? But in not knowing and enjoying it, it gave me this drive to really say, right, I'm going to conquer this.
That's where the growth comes from as well, right? Yeah. You're a completely different version of yourself from that growth trajectory, if you like.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you couldn't be trained is that raw enthusiasm.
No.
The bit that it feels like there's gates even now with you that is as calm and relaxed as you are to be around. Yeah. There's probably a whole version of you that,
oh my God, is a bit manic and mad, yeah.
comes flying out.
But there's a feeling, there's a bug that once it's in you, it just won't die. Which is why 35 years later, I'm still walking into radio studios. Now, I've been presenting 28, 29 years. My daughter's 28, going 29. Yeah, so I've been presenting 28, 29 years. But that bug, it just never goes. So if somebody said to me, would you work in a library? I would do it, but I'd probably get on everybody's nerves because I need that energy around me. I need that
vibration.
Music, that vibe. That's exactly what it is.
Now, for anyone that's watching, listening, what radio station are you actually on?
I'm on Smooth now, and I do drive time on Smooth, and I love it.
Now, I'm smiling because there is such a smooth way of you talking. It's hence me saying, because of the interaction we've had before filming, the therapy side of things. But I'm where I'm going with it is that your love of music is probably multifaceted, and there's probably a higher tempo of music that you listen to as well as a low tempo. Have I got that right?
Absolutely. So I love Kool and the Gang, but I also love a bit of Elton John. And I love Luther Vandross, and I also love a bit of Dido. And Smooth is the perfect station for those changing tempos. So I find I start at 4, and in my mind, I think about the school run, and I think about getting your kids off to after school clubs, people looking at the clock thinking, oh my God, roll on 5 o'clock, I want to go home. By 7 o'clock, I would like to believe that you've heard me maybe, 10, 15 minutes on your way home, and you're just ready to start the next section of your day calmly. That's my view.
I love that though, because the thought you put into that, the empathy. Yeah. Because you're effectively sat with a microphone in a room on your own in context of this producer, director, and so on. But you're talking to a huge amount of people, but you've got to project that empathy to them.
Absolutely.
And people can call that out. They can feel it. Whereas with you put your heart into the way you described it then. Yeah. Same way you would if you were on the radio. And I think is that a skill that's learned, or did you just naturally bring that, as Angie?
I think that's Angela, but I also think it's part of the HR in me as well. Because if you think people would come and see me, oh, he said, she said, and I'd go, okay, let's think about this. I think there's a part of HR in me that still exists on the radio. So I do think about when someone used to come to the office in tears. I can't be too busy. I can't say, listen, not now. Someone needs me. So I used to have an L-shaped table. They'd sit there. There was always a box of tissues there. And I would just listen. And I'd always say, right, are you all right now? Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, great. Off you go. My job's done. And in the same way, I think about if someone's had a bad day at work, they don't want to turn on the radio. and hear, oh yeah. I like to think about those things.
Yeah.
I like to think about the child that's been picked up from school that hasn't had a nice day at school and mum's got to deal with it. I like to think about maybe you've had to dodge a lot of traffic, or your tube was late, or your train was cancelled, or you were just getting that coffee, and as you were taking it off the Pret counter, unfortunately someone comes and I think about those things. And I just think, right, if I were in that scenario, what would I like to hear? What would calm me down? Not just music, but words.
Yeah.
Now, it's difficult because not everybody feels the same way, but in giving someone else a bit of empathy, you've got to think somebody else might actually want to hear a joke. Or, do you know what I mean? It's about balancing people's feelings whilst they're listening to music.
I mean, I was smiling and kind of joking earlier about the therapy side of things, but just listening to you then, you're incredibly gifted at that. You know, I can imagine in a very different environment wanting to talk to you and knowing that you would want to help me and be good at that. Have you actually thought about therapy as something you could do professionally?
Very much so. Okay. Very much so.
I really think you could.
I remember, I've done many interviews. I've interviewed many people. And one of the questions that always comes up, and I know Smokey Robinson hasn't met Rick Astley, and I know, but a question that always comes up or is always kind of framed is, I've just told you things that I had no intention of saying. Have you thought about going into therapy? The last time I heard that, it was Pepsi, Shirley and Andrew Ridgeley. Last Christmas was celebrating its 40th anniversary. So I walked in the studio, nice green sparkly jacket, it's Christmas. And, I thought, talk about the last Christmas, just talk about the song, talk about where it was filmed. Don't ask about George, because these guys probably have gone into many studios ready to talk about something, but it's all about George Michael. Number one, if you were there to interview them, and then see how the land lies and ask about George. But I thought, I'm not going to ask any questions, but they kept bringing his name up. Shirley kept bringing his name up. Pepsi kept bringing his name up. Andrew kept bringing his name up.
It's tied to their identity, isn't it?
Andrew called him Yog. And when he did say George, I said, that's the first time you've said George. And they just started talking about George Michael, how much charity work he did, how generous he was, how he would do so much work from behind the scenes. He would donate to charities, but not let people know it was him. And they just started to pour out about this man that I'd met because I went to Claremont High School, he went to Kingsbury High School, not for long, I think he was a year above me, and we used to all meet and play rounders in Kingsbury, and then he went off to Bushy. But anyway, I digress. And Shirley said to me at the end of the interview, I see a therapist in you. And I went, oh my goodness, why? And she said, I've just told you so many things I didn't plan to tell you. And at that point I said, oh, is there anything you want edited out? And she said, no. She said, I just need to let you know that. And I said, a friend of mine that used to work on LBC, Ian Lee, he is now a counsellor, but he had to go through a transition period of not wanting people to counsel him because he was Ian Lee. And I said, I don't really want to get caught in that trap. And she said, be the first. She said, be the first. She said, do your radio show, take off your radio hat, put on your therapist hat, and do therapy.
It's your next calling.
It's
already there.
I think it is. Yeah.
So you do so much to help people that you don't even get to meet. You're probably, many people listen to you as if they feel like they're, they know you're their friend, right?
Yeah.
Who's there for you? And in that context of sometimes someone like yourself is so good at helping other people. How good have you been at managing your own mental health? And you're smiling at me.
Yeah.
Are you with me? Because
yes. I
wonder if you've got that perspective.
Yeah. Well, my saying is that you can never give from an empty cup. So if you're giving and giving and giving, you have to acknowledge that at some point that supply is going to run out. And I have a friend called Alex who is a therapist, and we meet but not in therapy mode. So we might go out for a drink, we might go out for a meal, we might go and play squash. We'll do things.
That's a connection.
It's that connection.
Yeah, you know what you're getting from,
Absolutely. But maybe we do go and play, I don't know. Maybe we just go for a walk.
Sure.
And we'll sit down in the cafe in the park and I'll start talking, and that's when I pour out.
Oh, that's lovely.
And that's really great. I have my daughters as well, but I'm an advocate in that children should always be children regardless of how old they are. You never stop being a parent, but I don't believe in putting adult issues on a child's shoulders. They haven't got the emotional intelligence. And I'm really, really very, very strong about that. So if you're in a scenario where you and your partner break up, it's not for you to tell your child why you and the partner broke up, because you and the partner, the frequency between man and wife is different to the frequency between father and child. You've got to take your parental hat off and speak to your child as a child. Same goes with the mother. So I do talk to my daughters, but I edit my conversations.
Really, really powerful advice.
Yeah.
And back to that kind of coming from an empty cup.
Yeah.
What do you do as Angie because you've got a busy life?
Yeah.
Got the parenting, you've got the radio work and all sorts of other things that you do.
Yeah.
So making time to both keep mentally fit and physically fit.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make that work?
Go out walking every morning, or I go to the gym and go on the treadmill. Now, it's not always for physical fitness, it's for mental as well. So 7:00, I'm in the car and either down to the park, or sometimes I'll drive straight past the park and I will go to the gym, and I do a minimum of 20 minutes on the treadmill. And then I mess around on the other machines.
Yeah, but ultimately you're making the time commitment.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of overload. If you think about on a daily basis, you're either a husband or a wife, you're a father or a son, you're a parent, you're a worker, we wear many different hats throughout the day. And if you don't stop and energize yourself, you're giving as a father, you're giving as a husband, you're giving as a workman,
Sure.
You've got to give to yourself, and don't ever think you're being selfish. If anything, in my opinion, it's selfish to keep giving, because then you give the recipient the belief that you've got this never-ending flow of emotional strength and money and time, and it's not fair, because the day you go no, they go, what's wrong with you? So you've got to take time for yourself.
It's great advice, that.
Yeah.
About being authentic, which you exude.
Yeah.
35 years
I know.
in the career
I know.
sort of broadcasting, radio. How have you seen it change? Because we're living in an incredible dynamic time of AI.
Absolutely.
I'd love to know how that's in any way coming into what you do. But yeah, just what have you seen? What are the big changes that have come your way?
I remember turntables. I remember turntables, 12 inches, 7 inches. Then I remember the CDs. And we used to record interviews, and they would be on these big 12-inch reels. And then they were DAT tapes, digital audio tapes, which was like the size of a matchbox. And then turntables and CDs and vinyl disappeared, although vinyl's making a big comeback. And then everything was on a screen, everything was digital. And it's lovely. And then social media came in. And I'm very, very open about the fact that I struggled, because in my mind, you've listened to me for goodness knows how long. Would you want to see what I look like for? But that's the way we are. We've become very visual, and our attention span is very, very short now. So
Frighteningly.
It is. So I'm actually doing an AI course. Because
on your own back, or
on my own back, yeah. Because whether we like it or not, it's here to stay. You don't have to completely absorb yourself in it, but I think you should take in what works for you and your brand. And I'm actually quite enjoying it. I didn't think I was going to. It's not as frightening as we think. I think for a lot of us in the radio industry, we've heard AI stations in America, just somebody not there, just a voice. But when you think about how you present, so an AI voice can create links. I call it this is, you're listening to, the time is, my name is. That's fine. I mean, people actually do that, much less AI. But I do like to be authentic, and I do like to tell people who I am, what I did today, so that they can say, actually, she's just like us. She does burn the dinner. She did let the kettle boil. Do you know what I mean? I do like to do that.
It's the relatability piece.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I think in terms of social media and even the digital world, I think it's quite important that we do grasp AI. So there was a time when you would just, I don't know, upload a photo on Instagram. You can now put a background to it. You can make it move. You can make it sing. You can make it dance. You know, there are things about it that I think are positive. And there's no point complaining about it, not embracing it, and then watching someone who has embraced it move forward.
Yeah.
So we got to be real about this.
No, there's people that can get left behind right now, isn't there? With,
Yeah.
And fair play to you for leaning into that.
Oh yeah, I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah. And that kind of multifaceted side to you that perhaps other people wouldn't know, but I know from having a chat with you before today, Barbados.
Oh my goodness.
Talk to me about what you're doing there.
My parents are from Barbados. I can remember going there a few times when I was little and hating it because you know, school holidays, you want to be with your friends. Send me there now.
So funny.
Oh, it's the most beautiful, calm island in the Caribbean. And I do a lot of work with Barbados. I go to a lot of their conferences here in the UK. And the latest Deputy High Commissioner, a gentleman called Mackie Holder, called me to his office and said, you know, what do you want to do? And I said, well, look, next holiday, wouldn't mind going and having a chat with some kids in school, wouldn't mind going to some radio stations, you know. And he called me one morning and said, what are you doing tomorrow? And nothing. And he said, Mia Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, is flying in from Ireland. She's got a 1-hour stopover before her connecting flight to Barbados. I said, well, I better turn up, hadn't I? You don't let opportunities
Take your opportunity
like that go. But what an amazing woman. We call her the Prime Minister of the Caribbean. She's just come in. She's changed the game. And I love the way that she speaks. It's not just with a political language. You hear as a woman how much she wants to change Barbados, change the Caribbean, and have that little island actually be known around the world as a game changer. Now, some might say, what are you doing? It's only 166 square miles, but it's the product, it's the people, it's the energy in the island, it's everything about it. And I just love that about her. And, you know, she won't hear the word no stone unturned. If it can be done, let's do it. And I have such a passion for her energy. And she actually reminds me of when I first started radio. And so many people said to me, you can't do it, Ange. You'll never do it. You know, black girls don't work in radio. And I thought, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Did that actually spur you on more?
Absolutely.
The competitive side, you know,
Absolutely.
There's a measured competitive side, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, even
big
though
family and all that.
Yeah. And even though I'd started at Choice FM, which was predominantly a black station, first black-owned and black-run radio station in London, actually in the UK, when, as the industry does, when I saw changes coming, I left Choice FM. And I can remember thinking, gosh, you've done it now. You know, you come from a black station, you're never going to get another job. And I just believed that radio is my calling. And I got a call from someone who was a producer when I was in HR at Capital Radio, who was then running a radio station. What are you doing, Ange? I said, well, I've got 2 little girls, take them to school and nursery. He goes, do you want to cover some shifts for me? Lunchtime. Yeah, I do. And, you know, just out of covering those shifts, the phone rings, you meet people, you network. And it's just wonderful. I just love it. I just love it.
I mentioned this now, but that culture now is completely different to how you came through.
Yeah.
You can't be what you can't see. So it makes you a role model,
Yeah.
For other black women and men that want to come on the radio. Has that now balanced? I wouldn't know without asking you because you're at the heart of it, but is there now a much healthier lack of bias, if you like, where people are recognised for the talent and the people that they are now?
Yeah, definitely. Great. I mean, look, there's more stations now.
Yes.
There are, I love talking to students. Obviously, I love talking to young black girls that want to get into radio, and I mentor them. I don't have a mentoring program, but I'll give them, say, an hour a month. Right, call me on this day, this time, let's talk. And I think that opens things up as well. And what I also love is not only black girls, and I love that because it's the voice that they hear. And I'd like to believe beyond the voice, they tap into a bit of Angela. And it's about just knowing that they can't see me, but they're still listening. That to me it's a joy to me, just to know that you're driving or you're in the kitchen or you're at work. And I just love it. I just love it.
You're a proper role model. I mean, we have a crisis with social media where the algorithm, without a parental figure or someone that in any way is a positive role model, the algorithm seems to then fill that void with, in boys, it's the manosphere.
Yeah.
The girls, I've got 2 teenage daughters, as you know.
Yeah.
So the bitchiness that can go within the comparison element is causing chaos.
Yeah.
I just wonder where you sit with that. And I'm sorry to almost swerve that into slightly negative because everything's been so positive and so lovely. But how are you managing that as a mum? And what do you see what would you change if you had that magic wand? Because social media can be a force for good. Yeah. It can be a force for bad.
Yeah. Well, through social media, even though I'd interviewed Mariah Carey many times, just on messing around on TikTok, her management saw something I did and I got that Mariah interview. Social media is a good tool. However, I call social media groups a little bit unhinged,
yeah.
Because they're like classrooms without a teacher. So anything goes. I'm very fortunate in that my daughters are 25 and 28, so they're not into social media. They've just missed what I call social media fever. What I find very sad is once upon a time, if you did something to me, I'd say, listen, John, you said XYZ, didn't like it, high five, bam, done. Whereas now you go onto social media and you expose someone. This is how we do it. And it's about the trauma, it's about the pain, it's about the hurt that it causes. And I think any parents would be within their right minds, quite frankly, to take their phones away from their kids. There has to be a phone-free time in the day. I don't care how old your kids are. It's important. I think it's also important, where possible, to block certain apps. I know the government have got this program now where, is it for teenagers? They want to have personally, I think it's too late because a lot of these kids now, some of them are they're inventors and don't even know it. They invent the apps. They'll find ways of getting online. So I do think it's too late. So for this government program, I mean, the minute you announce it, you know someone right now is going to go, right, let me get a program in now. Let me start working it out now.
Find a way.
They will find a way.
The other thing, sort of jump in, is that if you restrict too much, then the moment that they're off the leash, they go so
overboard.
They haven't learned to manage it.
Yeah. So it is down to the parents, and it is down to the parents to say, listen, I need your phone. We're going to have phone-free time. And I know it's going to be difficult because kids nowadays are quite verbal. I've seen some children talk to parents in a way that me, at my age, I'd never talked to my mum. But there's almost this sense of self-entitlement and I know. And I do think parents need to rein it in. You can't leave it to the government. You really can't. It needs to be reined in. There's too much. As positive as social media can be, it's also quite a sad place. And spreading news that's not yet confirmed it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
There was an incident that took place.
You can't trust it.
You can't. There was an incident that took place not far from here on Argyle Street near Oxford Circus. There was a girl that was in an argument with another girl. One girl got in her car and ran the other girl down. Now, that going across social media, it goes in, it soaks in. Now, I'm not, it can incite violence as well. And I think it really is down to parents to just say, look, we need phone-free time. Knowing your kids might argue with you, it's got to be done.
Yeah. It's a hot topic at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that concerns me is with property prices the way they are, and the aspirational, and grads can't get jobs and so on. So actually one low barrier to entry is social media for kids to be entrepreneurial. Start learning how to use it, teach themselves things, start learning how to use it to perhaps create a business, create an earning income. And if that's taken away from the kids that want to use it for that because of how negative everything else is, that's another removal in a time when kids' mental health is already kind of in crisis, if you like.
But how many businesses on social media are really profitable? We see the photo, we make our minds up about that person's day, their marital status, the house from one photo.
The influencer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
very few. It's a pyramid, isn't it? There's very few in that top bit that are actually making a living out of it.
How many have really created and are running a profitable business that they can live off? You get gifted a lot of product, but if the business isn't running and then that product's taken away, if you've defined yourself by that product, I mean, goodness, what are you going to do next?
Yeah. I
know it's an old-fashioned thing to say learn a trade, but maybe going back to school is something we should be encouraging people to do.
I mean, this is an absolute pleasure for me because I'm learning. I'm learning so much from what you're saying visually as well. We are always learning. Curiosity.
Yeah.
So I think that's replicating what you just said there. It's like how do you keep that stimulated? How do you keep searching for more knowledge? And the fight for attention, particularly with this whole thing of social media that sways away to people just doom scrolling, rubbish, basically. Mad time that's been spent, wasted. That's a whole separate conversation. But I just didn't want to. We're out of time, but you have got to pursue your therapy journey. It's definitely part of your destiny. But for now, I'm going to thank you for what was definitely a therapy session for me. Have you enjoyed talking to me?
I've enjoyed talking to you. Do you feel better now?
I do. I'm going to share that with you. Absolutely. I feel calm. I felt calm the whole way through.
Good. I'm glad.
And, you have the most lovely aura.
Thank you. Thank you. I need to work on my brand outside of the studio. So many people have said to me, look, we love listening to you. We want to see you now. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really doing this AI course. And and my mission is to not say anymore. When people say, what do you do for a living? Oh, I sit in an empty room 3 hours a day talking to myself, hoping someone's listening.
No, I mean, lean into it. I mean, if you didn't have the vibration that you've got, the eye contact, the aura, then because there are some people that have a skill that suits a certain, but you have the whole package. You are very much someone that that whole vibe is brilliant when you're with them. And so actually, I think you crave that as well, because as much as you're giving so much pleasure to people, despite the fact you're in a room on your own, you'll enjoy the connection when you're with someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you've got to do it.
Absolutely. I couldn't imagine my life without radio, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. Well, Angie,
it's been good talking to you.
Thank you. I've loved it.
And you do feel better now.
I do. Yeah, I'll sign myself out.
Thank you.